Okay, before starting the session, any doubts from the previous class? So we'll wait for another 2 minutes. Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Vipin. Hope this class and object concept is clear, right, to everyone? Any others? And if it is clear, just we'll move on to next program. Just simple program. Okay. Okay. This is finished, right? So we have discussed all these things. Now let us go to an application. I mean, I'm going to create okay. So this is the class I'm creating now. Right. Now I'm creating my CLS. My class name is my CLS. Right. So in that constructor is there. I'm initializing the constructor. Right. I think everyone for everyone it is clear what is the difference between the constructor and method. Right. So constructor will be called automatically at the time of object creation for the particular class. But if it is a function, after creating the object, we need to call the function. So that is the difference between the constructor and a function. Of course, constructor is also a one function, right? But that is a default function. So that constructor will be called automatically when you create the object. Okay. Now here I'm creating one constructor. I'm initializing the constructor. Okay. So here for entire class for my CLS, so I'm taking the reference as XYZ. Okay. So that means whenever I'm going to create any variable or I'm going to assign any value to the variable, so that time I'll use this particular reference. So this constructor is taking the two parameters. One is X and other one is Y. I'm giving default values to both X and Y. That means why I'm giving default values here. If the user doesn't give any values, if the user or if a programmer, right, if we don't give any value, then these values will be considered as a default values. Okay. Now here what I'm doing, the X value I'm initializing as a variable called N1. So that is a variable of this particular class, right? So that is reference is XYZ. XYZ.N1 means, so that N1 is the variable. In that N1, I'm storing X, and this N1 belongs to this particular class, this class. Okay. Now I'm taking Y. So Y I'm storing in another variable called N2. That means number 1 and number 2. Okay. So the moment when you create the object for the class, so you have to pass the numbers along with the object creation. So those numbers will be allotted to N1 and N2 automatically. Okay. After that, I'm writing a function fun math. Okay. So I'm defining one function, user defined function, that is fun math. That means math function math. Okay. So here, see, remember the reference should be same. Here I have given, in the constructor I have given XYZ. If you give different reference here, it will throw an error. The reference should be same in the entire class. Irrespective of number of methods you are creating, it should be same. Right? So that means Your reference should be same in for all the methods in the class, right? So here already I have decided reference is XYZ. So when I'm creating the user defined function one more, okay, when I'm creating user defined function fun math, okay, so fun math, see somebody is doing a notion, right? So please don't do that. I don't have that. Okay, I know, clear. I'll clear all the things. Just need clear all the tracks. Okay, and I'll disable also. Disable participant notion. Okay, fine. Now here, what I'm doing now. So now here I'm checking what I'm doing. I'm creating one user defined function, fun math. So the reference should be same. The reference should be same, right? So now here what I'm doing here. Now I'm taking already this n1 and n2 are defined by the constructor. Already we got the numbers, two values into n1 and n2. Okay, I'm doing the addition. I'm creating one more variable called add equal to, so n1 plus n2. Okay, since this is in the class, if it is a normal method, you can say add equal to n1 plus n2. But since this is in the class now, so I should give the reference also, xyz add equal to xyz dot n1 plus xyz dot n2. Okay, so similarly another variable I'm creating subtract sub, okay, which is equal to xyz n1 minus n2, and multiplication I'm creating variable, so n1 into n2, and division also I'm creating n1 by n2. Okay, so now here addition is performed, that is stored in the add variable, and subtraction is performed, that is stored in the sub variable. Multiplication is performed, that is stored in the mul variable, and the division is performed, that will be stored in the div variable, right? So now I want to print the results. Okay, I want to print the results. For that I'm creating one more function. This function is only to do the mathematical operation, and I'm creating another user defined function that is for printing the results. Okay, so here I'm creating def print fun print. Okay, of course function name can be anything. Okay, so now the reference should be same through the entire class. Okay, so now here print, I'm writing addition. Okay, right, then subtraction, okay, then multiplication. So then division. So this function is for doing the mathematical operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and this function for printing. So in my class, I'm having total one constructor. Of course, constructor is the default function, and apart from the constructor, I'm having the two other function. One is function fun math for doing the mathematical operation. Another one is fun print for printing the results. Okay. Okay. Now class is over. Right, now I want to create the object for my class. I want to create the object for my class. So here I'm creating P1. Object name is P1. Okay. My class, what is the class name? My CLS. Okay. And see here, since the constructor is taking two values now, two parameters. Constructor is having two parameters. So at the time of creation, you have to pass the arguments to your constructor also, because the constructor will be executed at the time of object creation. When you create the object, that time itself the constructor will be executed. Okay, so that's the reason when you are creating the object, and if the class is having the constructor, and if it is taking some x number of parameters. All that x number of parameters you should pass along with the object creation. Okay, along with the object. So here I am passing 20 and 10. So x value will be 20 and y value will be 10. So 20 will be stored in the n1 and 10 will be stored in the n2. So accordingly, all addition, subtraction, multiplication, division operations will be done. Okay, then we are printing here. Okay, so right. The moment when your processor execute this particular line, okay, so 20 will be stored in x and 10 will be stored in y. That 20 will be given to n1 and 10 will be given to n2. Okay, so that means this function is automatically executed. That constructor function is automatically executed with this particular line and automatically executed. Then n1 value is 20, n2 value becomes 10, right? Fine. Now what I'm doing is, but these functions, this normal user defined functions, these won't be executed. Remember, only the constructor will be executed when you create the object, right? And the remaining functions won't be executed. To execute those functions, what you supposed to do? You have to call those functions by using the object. Okay, by using the object, you have to call those functions, right? Function is created. When it will be executed? Already we have discussed normal functions in Python. So user defined functions. When the function is executed, if you call the function, then only it will be executed, right? So here also we have to call the function. So how we have to call the function? With the object name. Object name is P1, right? Object name is P1. Okay, 1 minute. So here, right. So now here, this is your class. This is your class, right? This is your class, and for this class, we have created one object. We have created one object. Okay. We have created one object. My object name is P1. Okay. So now what it will do? What it will do now? So for this class, we have created one object P1. Okay. So in that P1, what are all the things are there? One constructor is there. So when you are creating the object, you are passing the values 10, 20, 10, right? So now here two functions are there. One is fun math, okay, and other one is fun print. These are the two functions. Okay, so the name of the object is P1. Now to execute this fun math, what you have to do? P1 dot fun math you have to give. Okay, if you give P1 dot, if you want to execute this now, right? So if you give P1 dot, fun math, so this function will be executed. Math function will be executed. Your math function will be executed. Okay, so what once the math function is executed, what happens here? What is the actual code in the math function? So it is, we are doing the addition, that result we are showing in ADD variable. We are doing subtraction, and that subtraction we are showing in SUB, and multiplication we are showing in MUL, and division we are showing in DA. Now all the mathematical operations are performed. Results are ready in add, sub, mul, and division variables. Now I want to, okay, now this, when you call this particular function now, so all mathematical operations will be done, right? Now I want to print the result. So for printing the result, I'm having fun print. Okay, so that fun print I'm giving. Of course, if you want, you can write this print here itself. That is not a matter. But here I want to discuss this topic with two functions, right? That's the reason I declared in another function, this printing operation. Okay. Now here I'm calling P1 dot fun print. When you call this, so what it will do? Okay, of course, this fun math is not taking any operands, and fun reference also it is fun print also it is not taking any operands. Then operands means it is any parameters. No parameters for fun math, no parameters for fun print. Okay, so simply it will print addition, addition value, subtraction, subtraction value, multiplication, multiplication value, right? Fine. So someone is asking some more. Okay, no doubts. Sir, code window is. Okay, right. So now, so this is the thing. So now, this what we are doing here. Now I want to print n1 value and n2 value also. Here, this fun print will print the results. Now at the same time, I want to see the n1 value and n2 value also to verify the results, whether addition and subtraction, multiplication, division results are correct or not. So to verify that, so I want to print this n1 and n2 also, right? So here already we have passed 20 and 10. So n1 is 20 and n2 is 10. Now let us go and execute this program, right? Let us go and execute this program. So it is okay. See here. Now here, so addition is 30, subtraction is 10, multiplication is 200, 20 into 10, 200. So division is 20 by 10, it is 2.0, right? Hope it is clear. Any doubt here? Any doubt? Okay. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Any doubt? Okay, fine. Right now, what I will do is, okay. So there is no doubt, right? So now, why from this, what is our conclusion? So we will use our constructor for initialization work. Okay, initialization work. If any initialization work is there, then you can use your constructor, do your initialization. Then create number of user defined functions according to the functionality required for your class. Okay, right. Now let us see another example. Okay, so now hope you can understand this. Now what I did is, whatever I did in the previous program, same thing, but for addition I have created separate function, for multiplication I have created separate function, subtraction and division, all these things, right? I have created separate functions, right? So now what I am doing here, class math. So same, I'm having the constructor. So it is taking two parameters, x and y. So x is stored in the number 1, y is stored in the number 2. Okay, then I have created one more user defined function, one add. So it does not take any parameters. So it will use already initialized variables by the initialized variables which are initialized by the constructor. Okay, so then I'm doing the addition of two numbers. I'm storing that result in sum. Again, I'm subtracting. As I'm multiplying the two numbers, I'm storing in mul. Then I'm subtracting, I'm storing in sub. Then division, I'm storing in DA. And of course, lastly, I've given one function called print. Okay, so this thing. Of course, same thing, but only thing is, right. So here, of course, the parameter reference for the class is Raju. Okay, so everywhere you have to use, when you're declaring or assigning the values to the parameters, you're supposed to use Raju, right? Now here, what I will do is, okay. Now here, I'm creating object to this particular class. So for creating the object, my object is P1. So since it is having the constructor, So that constructor is taking two parameters. I have to pass the two values because the constructor will be executed only at the time of object creation, right? So at the time of object creation, 50 and 10 will be passed to the x and y. That 50 will be stored in the number 1 and 10 will be stored in the number 2. Okay, then we are calling. Now I want to do the addition. In the previous case, what is the difference between this program and the previous program is? So in the previous program, if you call fun math, all the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all the operations are performed. Okay. Now here in this case, since I have written the addition separately, so if you want to do the addition, you call addition function. Now I don't want to do all the four operations. I want to do only addition, subtraction. Then you can call addition and subtraction only. You don't call mul and division. But in the previous case, even if you want to do the addition only, then you have to call this fun math method, right? That will do, that fun math method will do all the operations, even though you are interested with addition. Okay, because since the entire code was written in the fun math, right? So now here for multiplication, I've written separate. So I'm calling multiplication, subtraction, division, right? So then I'm calling fun print, so that it will print all the results. Now if you execute this, of course we'll get the same output, but the style is different, that's all. Okay. Okay, addition is 60, multiplication is 50, 50 and 10 na? So 50 plus 10, 60, 50 into 10, 500, so 50 minus 10, 40, 50 by 10, 5.0. Okay. So is it clear to everyone? Now I think we have discussed enough programs for for understanding object and class, right? Objects and class. Any doubts? Any doubts? If you don't have the doubts, of course, still you can practice. You can now here function we have given, like we are doing the addition, right? After doing the addition, you return the sum and get that. Now, for example, here I'll return Raju.sum. Okay. So now here, from where it is being called here. So this will, from there you will get some result, right? So res equals store that result and print the result here. Okay. And print result. Okay. So see here 60. Okay. So like that you can do lot of manipulations and you can practice it. Okay. So that you will get enough grip on this objects and class. Okay. Right, fine. Hope no doubt, no? It is clear to everyone. Right. So if it is clear, next we will move to the important concept of hooks. Okay, code window. Okay. And after taking screenshot also, please don't type same thing in your, when you are practicing that, don't type same thing, because I observed some people are typing. If I say here, if I give reference as Raju, you are also typing, some people are also typing Raju. Okay, so you try to write program in your own way so that you will get the programming skills. So the thing is, you have to practice one program, one concept. Now I have discussed this particular program. So this particular program you have to practice minimum 1 to 2 hours in different ways, by changing different. By changing method, by changing variable, by changing the parameters, all those things. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let us move to the next topic. Let us move to our next topic. Inheritance. Hope everyone able to see this. सर कंस्ट्रक्टर में डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज देना कंपलसरी होता है? नो, मैं उधर डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज क्यों कंस्ट्रक्टर में डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज क्यों दे रहे हैं? फॉर एग्जांपल ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएशन टाइम में आप मिस करें तो, अभी मैं पैरामीटर्स नहीं दिया, तो क्या होता? एरर, अभी कंपाइल एग्जीक्यूट करे तो एरर आएगा. ओके, सो टू अवॉइड दैट एरर मैं डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज दे रहा है. ओके, अभी डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज दे तो आपका वैल्यूज मिस किए तो वो वैल्यूज डिफॉल्ट लेंगे बस. So what is inheritance? So inheritance is an important aspect of object-oriented programming. And inheritance provides code reusability to the program because we cannot use the existing class to create a new class instead of creating it from scratch. That means this inheritance is nothing but, now for example, it is like whatever the assets. Now for example, when if my father is having a house, car, everything, right, and that house, car, it will come to me, right? So that means I don't need to buy for my immediate kind of thing. So I don't need to buy house and a car. So same thing I can use, right? So the same concept will apply here. So that means if some functionality is there in one class, okay, and that means in one application some functionality is there. For example, best example is you take any website, everywhere this sign in option will be there. Okay, whether you are using Facebook or you are using some Gmail or any accounts, any social networking accounts or any accounts, so first it will ask for sign in. Okay, so that means every application will require this sign in type of functionality, right? So one web page is required for sign in. There it should ask username, what is your username, what is your password. So based on that, it has to verify with, it has to check the database, and if it is available, so it should log in. Otherwise it should throw an error that stating that your username or password is incorrect. So this is a common functionality. Okay, so this login form is common in most of the applications, right? Now I have developed one application. For some customer X. So for that customer X, already I have developed one login form. Okay, and that project is over and I have given to the customer is using. Okay, so tomorrow another customer has come, he gave some different functionality, but in that functionality, right, I assume in the first customer case, so I have developed him for some hotel business, right? Hotel business, that means there he is having hotel, all the menus should be there, billing, invoice, all should be, all you want to monitor, and different hotels branches you want to monitor. Okay, so but for doing all those things, first to enter into that particular software, so he has to enter username and password. That means different branches are there now, so the corresponding branch person has to enter the username and password so that it will be logged in. Then there he can use all the functionality related to his hotel business, right? Now another person has come, some e-commerce site. He asked me to develop the e-commerce site. Okay, so then of course their hotel business means there the scenario is different. Here e-commerce means here the scenario is different. But there here also I require login page, right, before using the software. So the corresponding branch agent or branch manager has to log into the software. For that username and password is required. Okay, so that means now for the customer 2, again I cannot start developing the login page from the beginning. Already I have developed the code for the first customer. Na? I am having the code in my computer. Na? I'm having code in my computer. So just I will use that code here, right? So that means in any applications, and are this is in two different applications, are in the same application, always you want to display in one table. Table is that means one time you have to display all the menu in table, and second time you have to display all the branches information in a table, right? That means some table theme is there. The table theme I'm going to use for displaying the items, that means menu, and the same table theme I'm going to use for uh, monitoring monitoring the revenue of different branches of the hotel. Okay, and the same theme I want to use for total financial calculation, that means all this turnover calculations plus GST, all the accounting purpose, all the account related activities, right? So in that case, when I'm developing the branches like branch manager login information, so I no need to develop separate table again for pricing, again for menu I no need to develop the separate table, again for accounting purpose I no need to develop the separate table. So I will develop only one table, the same theme I'm going to use for all these 3 different scenarios, right? So in that case, what I will do, I will declare it as one class. That table theme I will declare it as class, and I'll tell that if anyone you wants to use this particular theme, they can inherit means, so they can use this particular thing. Inheritance means, so once the class is declared, that class can be used by any other class. Okay, so one functionality is there in class, and that class functionality can be used by any other class. Okay, so if any repeated functionality is there in your application or in multiple applications, so that repeated functionality we will write as one class, and wherever you want to have that particular functionality, we will use that particular class, right? So we will use that particular class in that particular application. Now for example, I'm having class 1 and class 2. Class 1 is having some theme. Okay, that theme I want to use in class 2. Now what I will do, I will take class 2, you just inherit, you just take the functionality from class 1. Again I no need to write entire code for the theme in class 2. So just I will tell the class 2 that okay, make use of class 1, whatever the already this theme functionality is available in the class 1, we just make use of class 1, I will tell. Okay, so that is called that type of use. I mean, see here class 2 is using class 1 functionality now. So that means class 2 is inheriting your class 1. That means class 2 is drawing your functionality, right? Drawing your functionality. Okay, now in this case, class 1 is called parent class and class 2 is called child class, right? Parent class means the class which is giving the functionality is called parent class. Child class is the class which is going to use the functionality is called as child class, or we can also call it as base class, derived class. Okay, so parent class is called as base class, and child class is also called as derived class. Okay, so in inheritance, the child class acquires the properties and can access all the data members functions defined in the parent class. Okay, the child class means any class which is going to use already existing functionality is called child class, right? Then who is the parent? A class that can inherit another class and use the functionality. Yes, that means one class can use the functionality of other class. Okay, the class which is using the functionality of other class is called child class. The class which is giving the functionality to child class is called parent class. That's all. Okay, that means now for example, your father is having car. Okay, now my father is having car. Now I don't have car. I want to go to some place, right? I want to go to some X place, right? Or I want to go to Hyderabad, right? In car, right? So now what I will do? If I go and purchase the car and for going to Hyderabad, right? If I purchase car and going to Hyderabad, it will take more time. It will consume more time and it is more expenditure also. Like that means first I have to purchase the car by spending some money, then I can go to the Hyderabad, right? So if that is the case, I may go to Hyderabad maybe after 1 month or 6 months or after one year, right? So that means it will take time also. Okay, since I'm having my parent is having, my father is having car now, I can take that car and go to Hyderabad. So if I do that, if I choose the second option, I can go immediately to the Hyderabad, right? So that is called inheritance. The second case is called inheritance, and first case is called no, I don't want the help of any others. I want to buy my own car. I want to drive myself. I want to go to Hyderabad, right? So if that is the case, yes, you can do that. But the thing is, it will take more time. It will take more expenditure also. That means it will take more time to develop your application, and it requires more resources for developing your application. Okay, if you inherit, if you use the functionality of already similar functionality given by the existing classes, any other class, then it is easy for you for developing the application. Your application development time is reduced, then your application cost also, development cost is also reduced. Okay, so that's the reason we are going to, if any similar kind of functionality is available, simply we are going to inherit that. Inherit that means we are going to use that. Okay, the class which is giving the functional to other class is called as parent class. The class which is using the functionality of another class is called as child class. That's all. So parent class is also called as base class, and child class is also called as derived class, right? So in Python, derived class can inherit base class by just mentioning the base name in the bracket. Of course, that we will see. Okay, how we can inherit programmatically, that we will see. So that is stating telling here. Okay, now is it clear or any doubt? Okay, now here this is the base class, child class. This is going to use the functionality of this particular class. So this is called parent class, child class, or base class, derived class. So how now, for example, how I can call this particular base class? So by calling base class, how I can tell the Python interpreter that I'm going to use so and so class. So for that, what you have to do is, of course, generally how we'll declare the class? Class name, class name, right? So that is the way of declaring the class. Then colon. Now, if you want to inherit, if you want to use any other class, in bracket, you should mention the class name. You should mention the class name. Okay. Of course, if you see one program, then you will understand easily. Okay. So then we will go back to our program. Okay. So inheritance. Right. So now here, so what I am doing is, I am creating one class, myp. Myp means this is parent, of course, myp. Okay, myp. This is one class I am declaring. Of course, you may be having doubt that how I can create the parent class. Parent class can be normal class. Okay, so parent class, normal class, both are same. How you are getting the name parent? If anyone is going to use that class functionality, that will become a parent class. That's all. Right? So class, I'm declaring myp. Right? So in that, I'm defining one constructor. Okay, constructor. The constructor is taking two arguments, a and b. Right? See here, I have not given any default value. Okay, and what I'm doing after getting a and b value, I'm doing the addition of a plus b, and that I'm storing in another variable called e. Okay, e. So this is the functional and no other functions, no other user defined functions. I'm declaring in my p. Okay, right. This is one class. Again, I'm taking another class called my child, right? My chld. Okay, another class my chld, and here I'm going to use. What I'm going to do? Here I'm going to use my p class. My p class means this class. If you are going to use this class means whatever the functionality is there in that particular class, you can use that, right? And remember here, in my child class, I don't have any constructor. See here, I'm not defining the constructor. Of course, default function is there. Default constructor is there for every class. For every class, there is a default function called constructor. But that code block of that particular default function called constructor is empty. If you give the code, then only you will get the functionality now. So now here I'm not giving any code to the default constructor. Directly I'm defining one function called m1. Okay, what I'm doing in m1, self2 dot e. Here self2 is the reference for this particular class. Okay, I'm telling self2 dot e. Okay, but whether any variable e is there in this particular class? No, it is not there in this particular class. Any variable e is there in this particular class? No, but still we could print the value of e. Of course, we'll see that. Okay, now here, now I'm creating the object for my child. I'm not creating the object for this class. Okay, parent class. I'm creating object only for my child, and I'm passing the two values 10 and 20 to constructor. But in my child, whether we are having the constructor? No, but still we can pass 10 and 20 to the constructor, right? Why we can pass? Because here what happens now? Now this is your class MP, right? So this is my P. This is your class my P. I'll do one thing. Where is that? So this is my P class, right? Class my P. Okay. Now you are declaring another class. Called okay, so another class called my chld. This is class my chld. Okay, and what I'm doing here? Okay, since I have given in bracket my P, when I tell my P, so this functionality, this entire functionality of my P also comes under my child. That means so here this entire class is there na. This entire class will come as a this entire class is here, and then code of my child class. This entire class is copied here, and my own code will be there, right? So right now what happens now? Here I'm telling 10 and 20 my child. I'm creating object for my child. I'm creating one object for my child. Okay, so I'm passing 10 and 20. So here I'm passing 10 and 20. This is the object. Object name is, what is the name of object? obj, and here I'm passing object. What are the values? 10, 20. So obj I have created 10, 20 I have passed. 10, 20 will be given to my child. But in the my child, I don't have any constructor. I don't have any constructor, but my child is inheriting my parent. So, but my parent is having the constructor. So this 10 and 20 will come here. First, the 10 and 20 will be given to the parent class from the child. Okay. Now 10 and 20 will be taken by the my child, and this 10 and 20 will be passed to parent. So 10 will be stored in A and 20 will be stored in B. 10 plus 20, 30 will be stored in E. Right. So then what we are doing? So with this single line, 10 and 20 will be taken by the my child, and that same 10 and 20 will be passed to my class parent, and here my class parent will add 10 and 20 and store the result in stores the result in E. Okay, and that E is again given back to, okay, that E is again given back to child, right? So this is what it is happening here. Okay, so I'll remove this. So when you are giving 10 and 20, the 10 and 20 will be goes to, we are giving 10 and 20 to my child. We are giving 10 and 20 to my child. 10 and 20 will come here, and this my child will give 10 and 20 to my parent. My parent will take 10 in A, 20 in B. It will do the addition, and the result will be stored in E, and that result E value will be given back to the child. Now in child, what we are doing? We are executing. We have declared one more function called M1, right? Method 1. Okay. So here object obj.m1. I'm calling obj.m1 because this is not a constructor. This won't be executed automatically. So this we have to execute manually. For that, what you supposed to do? You have to call this particular function. How we can call? So by using the object name obj.m1. If I say obj.m1, this function will be executed. What we have written here? We are printing self2.e. So already we got e value now. So it will print e value. So answer should be 30. Answer should be 30. Let us execute and see this. Your answer will be 30. Of course, this 200 belongs to another code. It is another code is there. So for the 200 belongs to that code, right? So 30 is printed. Any doubts here? Hope everyone understood parent and child concept. If you have any doubts, you please let me know. Right? And here, remember here, this child class is already inheriting. The child class is already inheriting the functionality of my parent. Okay, child class is already inheriting the functionality of parent. Okay, since it is inheriting, since it is already at the time of declaration of my child class, this function already told that I am going to use my parent function, MyP class. Okay, so that's the reason whenever it is getting the values, that values are passing to the MyP class. MyP class will do the corresponding operation and then send the result to the my CHLD class. Okay, any doubts? Any doubts? I think no one is responding. Whether it is concept is clear or not? Concept is clear or not? Of course, for the first program, it may be little bit confusing and little bit hectic, right? See here, when we are discussing any concept, first time you will feel it is complex, right? So even when we have discussed the object and class also, so you felt it as little bit complex, okay? But after discussing the second program, it became easy, and after discussing the third program, so now it becomes very comfortable, right? Sir, can we do OHH MyP? Yes, that you can do. Similarly, so now here I'm creating for object for my child now. Now I don't, I want to create for my parent also. Okay, so my parent also, what I will do now, object 2 equal to my p some 30 comma 50. You can pass. Okay, 30 comma 50, and what you have to do is print your, if you pass 30 and 50, what happens? 30 will be showed in A and 50 will be showed in B. 30 plus 50 will be performed, right? That 80 result will be showed in E, right? And here I don't have, in my P class, I don't have any other method to print. Now what you have to do? You have to manually print by using your object. Print the value of E. Now here I will write, what I will write here? Here I will write print obj2.e. Okay. So now you can see here, of course, this I'll make it comment out. Okay, right. Now if I execute, you can see here 30 is printing. So why 30 is printing? 10 and 20 have passed to child class. 10 and 20 have passed here. The 10 and 20 is passed to my P. Then 30 both are added. 30 is given to class. Then the my child class, I'm printing the value of E. Now here in this case, in obj2 case, what I am doing? In obj2 case, what I am doing? In obj2 case, what I am doing directly, I mean, this is obj2. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm giving directly 30 comma 50 to directly to main class, right? So here both, here what happens? 30 and 50, it is taken by 30 and 50, both are added. Here it will perform 30 plus 50, that is gets stored in E. Okay, then that result will be given back to this object. So now by using that E, object2.e, we are printing the result 8. Okay. Now you cannot do object2.m1 because this object we are creating only for myP, right? myP. But here this object we are creating only for creating for myP. That means for this particular class, right? This particular class. So this class, okay, this class is not going to inherit this particular class. This class is taking the functionality of this, but this class is not taking the functionality of this now. So if it wants to access the functionality of this particular class, so here also in bracket we should mention my child. Okay. So but in the bracket we are not mentioning anything now. That's the reason we cannot do that. That's the reason we cannot do that. So in that case, you have to use this function, child class functionality, right? Okay. Is it clear or any doubt? To give some assignment on this, sir. Okay. So now what you have to do is some you create, of course, assignment is okay. Here I did one sample. So let us take for mathematical operations. Again, mathematical operations you do in one class. Already we did here na class math, right? Previously we did here. See here in this class we did addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? Okay. So this is there. Now you develop one more class, right? You write one class here. You develop one class. In that class you do all Boolean operations. Like all Boolean operations means other mathematical or other you do one thing, other mathematical operation. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division you leave. You do some modulus operation, power of operation, floor division. These operations you do in another class. Okay, but when you are passing the values to this particular class now, you have to print addition, subtraction, multiplication, division also. That addition, subtraction, multiplication, division program is already there in my computer now. So already there now. So that you inherit from this class, you inherit that particular class. Then you print it. Print the result of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division, power, modulus. Okay. Is it clear? I told now since it is first thing. Actually, I thought of discussing this first, but I forgot. I directly discussed that one. So this is more simple, more even simpler than that. Of course, both are same only. Okay. So now it is now we have to wind up the session, and tomorrow we will continue this inheritance. And after inheritance, tomorrow we will see exception handling, because that is also important topic, right? So after that we will see, after exceptions we will see some date time library. Now after this we can work with modules. Okay, we'll work with the date time module, and we'll work with some math module. Then we'll do with we'll work with MySQL module also. Okay, so we'll connect with the database and we'll get the data from the database from your Python program. All those things we'll do. Okay, next class we'll finish this inheritance, remaining programs. Then we'll move on to the exception handling. That is also a very important topic in Python. So with that exception, we can close the hooks concept. Then we'll work on some 2-3 libraries before moving on to some MySQL. Okay, thank you everyone. Tomorrow again we'll meet at 4 to 5. 4 to 5 tomorrow. Today I'm having some work at 4 o'clock. That's the reason I read for 3 to 5.